All right, guys, welcome to episode number 2 of TodyTalksAbout. In this episode, I'm actually going to do something a little bit different. We're going to have story time. Okay, so with this particular story time, it's going to be about my life here in Tennessee. Someone actually asked me to kind of go over this, and you know what? I thought, I think it'd be kind of cool for the people who don't know me very well to actually be able to get to know me and know kind of like who I am and like where I came from and kind of what I've been through and stuff like that. So, as you can see here, this is my life in Tennessee. Okay, now before we really jump into this, make sure that you guys do go down and like and subscribe to my channel, and make sure you hit that little bell so that every time that I upload a video, you guys are going to be able to see that, and it's going to notify you of that. So, just a little backstory before I really jump into like why I'm here and stuff. I actually grew up in Kentucky, in Muhlenberg County, Kentucky. For those of you who know what that is, it's about this big, and there's not really anything there. It's a bunch of farmland. It's like a couple small towns. If you really want to go to like a mall or something, like you're gonna go like out of the way to go to. Like Owensboro, Kentucky is kind of where we would go to the mall and stuff. But even there's really not that much. So, I grew up there all the way up until I was about 25-ish years old, 24, 25. And my girlfriend at the time, she kind of came into like a decent sum of money, and we decided that it would be a great opportunity to kind of branch out and go to other place, go somewhere else other than Kentucky, because the jobs there were just not great. I mean, really, if you're living there in Muhlenberg County, Kentucky, you're going to be working like manual labor, you're going to be a nurse, you're going to be a coal miner, you're going to be working in fast food, or you're going to be working in like a factory somewhere, and that's like your best money is coal mines and factory. But those two jobs are just so hard and demeaning that, like for someone like me, like straight up, I'm lazy. Like that's just not something that's going to be for me. But back to the story. So we decided that we were actually going to move to Colorado. I don't know who's going to hear this part, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. We were actually going to move to Colorado and start a grow operation. For those of you who don't know what that is, basically we were going to grow marijuana. We were going to sell it to dispensaries there in Colorado, because there was a lot of really good money in that. So that was kind of the plan. We had all this stuff laid out. We actually had like stuff picked out. We actually had like an apartment that had a deposit and everything paid for. Some stuff happened right before we were moving. Actually, it was about a week before we were supposed to move, and some stuff happened, and we decided that we were just going to move to Tennessee because I have some family here. Not very much, just like a couple close family members, but that's beside the point. So we decided to move to Tennessee, and honestly, it did turn out to be a pretty good endeavor. So we moved here, and we moved into this little like 2-bedroom apartment. I thought it was expensive for what it was. It was like $850 a month for a 2-bed apartment with walls that were about that thick. So anyways, we lived there for a little bit, and neither of us had got a job, but like we had so much money with us that we went ahead and paid rent for like 6 months. So, as we were living there, we made a bunch of friends that lived close by. Like they lived in like the apartments that were kind of next to us a little bit. We became super good friends with them, and that turned into like a whole thing. That's for you, Corey and Allison, if you guys are watching this by any chance. But, so we lived there, and then the money kind of just like ran out, aka we spent it all. So things got pretty rough. So we actually had to move from that apartment to another set of apartments. It's like the same complex, but the other apartment was this really small, like 1-bedroom apartment. And I mean, this thing was literally maybe 2 times as big as my bedroom here, and you can see that it's really not that big. So we moved up there. We had a couple cats with us. My cat Athena, my cat Charles. I'm sure you'll see Athena at some point on here, but that's beside the point. So we moved into this little 1-bedroom apartment, and I started working at a let's see, what was the first job? Oh, actually I did this little sales job where you had to sell like POS systems, like card readers and stuff like that. Worst job that I've ever had in my life. So like basically they would give you leads and stuff, and you would have to go to these different businesses and like pitch your card machine. And I was not a salesman. I was not a good salesman at all when it came to that. So that lasted about a week and a half. I didn't make a single dollar doing that. It sucked. So I started working at this really big, kind of like a resort sort of thing. I've actually worked at 2 resorts. I work at one now, but I worked at this resort in the laundry room, and this thing was like underground. It was like literally people called it the dungeon because it was so dark, it was dingy, it was hot. It was not a pleasurable experience. I think I probably worked there for about a month or so before I decided that job was not for me. From there, I started. We had to start like selling stuff that we had bought with the money that we came with. So like we were really roughing it. And it was really weird how my next job came about. So like in the process of selling all this stuff, I had to meet this guy, and I was selling stuff on like Craigslist and like Facebook Marketplace and stuff. So like I had to take this laptop to this guy at a rest home. Right, so like I'm at this rest home and I see this dude drive up, and he's the security guard. So like I'm like, man, that seems like a super easy job. So I just texted him. I was like, hey, what's up, dude? What's a guy got to do to become a security guard there? He goes, you're not gonna believe it, but the other security guard that we had actually just quit. I was like, okay. So, like a month or so goes by because they had like a change in management and stuff. I ended up working at this assisted living home. Okay. And for probably about a solid 6 months or so, I was doing security. So like, basically it was me driving around on a golf cart about every 30 minutes. And just, that was about it. Yeah. Most of the time, like I watch stuff on my phone or like watch stuff on this really big TV that they had. I'd go get food. Like it was probably one of the easiest jobs I've ever had. I wasn't making a whole lot of money, and I really wasn't working like a lot of hours. I was probably working like 30 hours a week because of the way that it was split up. But after about 6 months, the person who ran the place decided that they really didn't need security because all we were doing was just ride around on golf carts, and nothing ever happened at the assisted living home. So, I was offered a position as a caregiver. So, took the position, did that for a solid 6 months. I mean, I literally worked this job from May 1st to May 1st. So, like, I really didn't mind the job. It was pretty good. I'm not going to go, like, super into detail what happened with that job, but I really did like it. But some stuff happened like towards the end of the job. Well, actually at the end of the job, the very last day. And a little side note, I actually lived there as well. Like they offered employee housing, just a couple apartments. And it was actually a pretty good setup. It was like a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment there on property, and it was like super cheap. It was like $400 a month. I mean, I lived there. I didn't have to use any gas to get to work. I could literally just walk. So, when I lost my job there, and it was a super complicated situation, I don't think I can actually go into it, but when I got fired, I actually ended up losing my house, and because I wasn't expecting to lose my house, I had no money saved up from the job itself. So I lost the house, I lost the job, and actually for a little bit of time there, I was actually homeless. So it was me, my ex-girlfriend, the same one that I moved to Tennessee with. We're probably about 2.5 years in at this point. Okay. So like we were homeless for a little bit, and I ended up working construction for a go-kart track. I hated that so much because, like I said before, I'm lazy. But anyways, I ended up doing that, and I did that for a little bit. I probably did that for about 2 months or so, and then the guy who actually owned the go-kart track that I helped build offered me a job to just come work there, and I thought that was pretty sweet, and so I did that. I worked there for about 1.5 years or so, and that was pretty good. I became like unofficial, like this is me saying this, like unofficial track manager sort of thing, because I always worked on this one specific one, and I knew the ins, I knew the outs, and they never had me switch up, and it was a pretty sweet gig. And that's when I found out that the ex-girlfriend was actually pregnant. So she's pregnant, and I'm working at this go-kart track, and I'm gonna say I probably worked there for about 6 months at the time, so she had a couple months left, and I decided that I wanted something more out of life other than working at a go-kart track, because I didn't want my son to like go to work on, like, I don't know if they still do this, but like when you go to school and you'd be like, oh, hey, what do your parents do? Oh, my dad works at a go-kart track. I just didn't want that. Like, I wanted more for me, I wanted more for her, and I wanted more for him, for my son. So, I started looking around on Facebook, and I found this job as a salesperson. The first thing I thought about was like how awful I was at the original sales job, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot. So it was actually a timeshare sales job. I did that for, let's see, 2018, the end of 2018, all the way up to January of this year, of 20. So I did the sales job for like one full complete year, and I did super well at it. So like I'd say there was probably about 50 representatives there in the sales, and I actually finished number 4, out of all of them, so like I did pretty good. I sold almost $1 million worth, and I was honestly really shocked and surprised and proud of myself for doing that, because of how antisocial of a person I am. Like, I had to sit down with these people like one-on-one and ask them to spend like a lot of money with me. But January of this year, they saw how good that I was doing, and they gave me another job at the same company, where I am what's called a closing officer. And basically what you do is you're just signing over deeds to like timeshares and stuff like that. And it's a really good job. It really is. And the pay is like super well, and I'm super proud of myself for getting where I've been. But just to rewind a little bit and go back to when my ex-girlfriend became my ex-girlfriend. So shortly after my son was born, she had got some really bad postpartum depression. And there was a lot of really bad stuff that kind of happened in between then and when she left. And she decided towards the end there that she felt like she wasn't quite ready to be a parent. And I would never say anything bad about her. She was going through a lot, and honestly, I feel sorry for her. But I mean, that's me just being personal. I'm sure you guys really don't care too much about all that. But she went through a lot, and she decided that it just wasn't her time, wasn't her place to be a mom. So in the end, I actually ended up keeping my son Alex, and he has been with me since. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. I think I'm super grateful to have my son, and I'm super grateful to kind of be living on my own and doing my own thing. But yeah, so there you go. That's kind of my life in Tennessee in a nutshell, like from beginning to end. And I mean, really, like it feels like it's just the beginning of my journey, whether it be in Tennessee or wherever. So yeah, good stuff. If you guys have any other questions about kind of like, who I am or my life, or any questions for me in general, or for the channel, make sure that you do leave a comment. And like I said before, make sure you do like and you do subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to be putting out content all the time. And it's going to be a wide variety of content. Stuff like this, I might do more stories from my past, because I do feel like I've probably lived like I feel like I've lived a pretty interesting life. So that would be cool to kind of get to share that with you guys. But anyways, I thank you so much for tuning in to Tody Talks About. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.